On this thumping Thursday, Halloween edition of the Tim Brando Show, we are so happy to be joined now by some college football coaches are going to be working tonight, and they're going to be on the CBS Sports Network, including Paul Darragh, who is the interim head coach at Bloomsburg in Pennsylvania, and they got that monster matchup with Shippensburg coming up tonight. Our friend Brent Stover, fellas, the Stovermeister, Druba.
Let's get him on later today.
We are. We're going to talk with Brent. He's going to be calling that game. And, Rogers, you know how we feel about the Division IIs and the Division IIIs. We're all about inclusion here on this program, aren't we, Rogers?
You're preaching to the choir
It's what the Hambone Award is all about.
That's exactly what it's all about.
And no one knows that better than King of the FCS over here.
King of the FCS.
Patrick Netherton, the voice of the Northwestern State University Demons. Coach Darragh joins us now as Shippensburg gets ready to come in for this matchup. And again, Coach, first off, it's great to have you with us on game day. Means a lot to us. And I'm guessing one of the reasons I love D2 and D3 in the smaller divisions is because when the television cameras come in on your campus, it's still a very big deal. And I love that. I really do.
Yeah, it is. Sure. It's exciting for our players and the university. It's not often, most of the time they're going home and watching the games on TV. So it's a great opportunity for our school and campus, but also our players to kind of, showcase what they've been able to do and accomplish and hopefully play well again tonight.
You've been a perennial top 10 team at the D2 level, Coach, and Danny Hale retired. I think it was something he knew he wanted to do, but I guess it came on suddenly, and you were tabbed as the interim head coach. You've been the defensive coordinator there, though, with Coach Hale for 16 years. Is this sort of, in your own mind, an on-air, in-season audition? Is this a job that you'd like to keep?
Well, yeah, I think that, being here this long a time, I knew Coach at some point in time was probably going to step down and look forward to the opportunity either as an interim coach or to follow right away in his footsteps. So I appreciate the opportunity. I think, I represent as well the rest of the staff that has been here as long as I have or even longer and have helped to establish the kind of program that we have. So I kind of do look at it as an 8-month interview, and so far so good, but we got our hands full tonight against Shippensburg, and we know them extremely well from just the rivalry over the years. So we know we got our hands full tonight.
A little like our friend at the FCS level, Coach Bowl at North Dakota State. You guys are kind of an old school team. You run the ball really well, and you stop the run very well. That's been the recipe, hasn't it?
It has been. It's been the recipe since I've been here, and I think that's why it gives us a chance every week to have success. It's funny. We have a couple players that the NFL scouts are looking at, and they enjoy coming in and watching, offensive linemen with their hand on the ground and a fullback in the backfield and things that a lot of times you don't see nowadays in college football. So it has been a recipe for success for us to be able to run the football and play great defense, and it keeps us in games, and I think in today's game of college football, where everybody's spreading you out and throwing and going hurry up, no huddle, it also gives us the opportunity to keep the other offense on the sideline, and a lot of times that's just as effective as playing great defense. So we're hoping to do that as well tonight.
You have the top running back in the country at your division, Franklin Quiete. Talk to me a little bit about him and his style of running, and I'm gathering that's one of the guys that a lot of scouts are looking at on your football team.
Yeah, he is, and just a great, durable back that is.
Did I mispronounce his name? Is it pronounced Quitea?
It's Quiete.
Quiete, that's right. Quiete.
Yes,
I want to make absolutely certain I get this right, because if I screw it up, then it's my phone's going to be ringing off the wall.
Right.
It is Quiete.
It's Quiete.
Quiete. Just say Quiete.
Just call. How about Tim? Just call him Frank. Frank, I tell you.
Quiete sounds good. We'll go with Quiete.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, Frank's been he's been such a consistent, durable back for us, and a guy that's, carrying the ball 25, 30 times a game, and certainly he's playing in a system that's committed to running the football. But his durability, the ability to run strong in between the tackles, make people miss in the secondary. Just has been, very consistent at doing that, and that's why right now he's one of the all-time leading rushers at all levels. Certainly in our league, he's the leading rusher, and I think right now he's ahead over 6,000 yards in career yardage, and so it's just a credit to his durability and being able to be, for the last 4 years, our feature back. So we're going to need him tonight, and I think that's another way of keeping the ball out of the hands of Ship's offense and keeping it out of the hands of Zach Zoli. So, but Frank's just a great student athlete. He's a scholar athlete and a great representative of our program.
Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference is the league we're speaking of. Bloomsburg, Shippensburg, and a lot of great teams. I mean, East Stroudsburg has got a great lineage of, in fact, a lot of outstanding quarterbacks have come from there, and some coaches too. I was just calling Coach Franklin's game at Vanderbilt a little while back, and he's a 95 grad of East Stroudsburg.
Right.
That league has always been competitive, but you've always been at the upper half of it. How do you maintain that? Is it about tradition and history that league has? Because it's always been really, really good and had a lot of national champions within it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, it's like any states where the high school football is popular. Certainly the high school football here is pretty good, and it feeds our league. And, we've got a lot of great teams. And you mentioned coaching. I'd like to think there's some good coaching that goes on in this league. And there's about 4 guys that I've coached with in this league that are now coaching in the NFL. And it's just indicative of the style and the type of coaching as well as the play. So I think when you combine the two and the competitive nature of the rivalry in our league, that you get some quality football, and certainly we feel like we match up as well, and we have when we've gotten to the national level. So, but it's a great league to play in, very competitive to coach in as well, and our rivalry with Shippensburg goes back a long way, so it's going to continue tonight.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about that, what Shippensburg brings to the table, and some of the history, if you don't mind. We're visiting with Paul Darragh, who is the interim head coach at Bloomsburg here on the Tim Brando Show. They're playing tonight on CBS Sports Network, and you're right, the history and tradition of this rivalry goes back for a long, long time, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I will tell you, when Danny Hale and when he first came in, he had been a coach in the league at Westchester, and the head coach at Shippensburg, they were teammates together at Westchester. So Rocky Reese had been the head coach for a long time at Shippensburg. So the rivalry was a personal one between Danny and Rocky, and we go all the way back to the year that we went to the national championship game. They beat us early in the season, and so we've had that kind of personal rivalry. And then Coach Reese stepped down a couple years ago, and Mac took over. But in 2009, we were undefeated, and they came into our house and beat us to beat us for the Eastern Division title. So there always seems to be something on the line when we play them as well, as there is tonight. So, but it goes all the way back to the connection between Coach Hale and Coach Reese, and it has continued because of the rivalry we've had. And last year we had to play them twice. We played them in the regular season and then played them in the postseason. So that rivalry just continues, and it is it's an intense one, but it's also one of respect. And looking forward to playing them tonight.
I think a lot of people would like to know, because they're not as acquainted with the Division II playoffs as they wouldn't be with Division III or even FCS. Coach, the NCAA doesn't necessarily try to keep you guys apart in the playoffs like they would, say, for instance, in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. If it just turns out that you're slotted in a certain spot seating-wise, you're going to play that team again. I'm sure that happens with people out of the PSAC all the time.
It does, and it has with us. I mean, I think I can look back and probably maybe 4 or 5 times in the playoffs we're playing a team we've already played through the course of the year, and I guess that's good and bad, but you're correct. It just matters where you end up in the seeding in the top 6, and it's not uncommon in our region to have a couple PSAC teams in the playoffs. So, and there, we do have a PSAC championship game as well. So, realistically, you could, possibly play a team during the regular season because there's crossover games. You could play them in the state game.
Right.
You could end up playing them in the playoffs, but that hasn't happened yet. But certainly playing them twice has a lot, and I think that's just an indicative of a lot of teams in our league getting into the national playoffs, which is great.
All right, last thing, and I'll let you go. Your your concerns for defending Shippensburg, number one. But also, can you kind of tell me what the differences are? For instance, if you say East Stroudsburg State to somebody, immediately everybody goes, I'm a Philly guy. That's why I'm East Stroudsburg. I'm a Philly guy. If you say Shippensburg, now that's I believe right between Pittsburgh and Philly. You're more in East Central Pennsylvania. What are the differences in terms of the stereotypes from what side of the state of Pennsylvania you're on, and then your concerns about your opposition tonight, Coach?
Yeah, I don't know if I know of a clear difference in stereotype, especially between Shippensburg and Bloomsburg players. I mean, I think we do have a lot of the similar kids. And they have Philly kids, we have Philly kids, we have Coal Region kids, so do they. You know, that's where we would be considered the Coal Region. So, so I think there's a lot of similarities in the toughness and the type of approach and the way the kids play. But in defending in Shippensburg and Zach Zulli, it does, they create a lot of problems because he can make plays with his feet. He's one of those quarterbacks that you can have everybody covered, and he can pull it down and run with it. He's very good at kind of making plays when he's moving outside the pocket. They have a great scheme in which they incorporate the screen pass and off the run game. And they do the quick no huddle, and that is something that's always a challenge because one thing you need to do as a defense, you got to be able to get lined up and play. And so when they do the quick no huddle, a lot of times that's your main focus is to make sure you're lined up. You may have to water down your calls, but it does, challenge you a little bit to make sure everybody's communicating on the same page and getting lined up to execute the defense. So they've done a great job with it over the last few years and certainly are continuing to do it this year. And bottom line is we got to get off the field. So we either got to get off the field with a third down stop or get a turnover, and that's what we're hoping to do this evening.
Well, listen, Coach, I cannot thank you enough for making some time for us. The Division II games on Thursday nights on CBS Sports Network are always important, and I told my boy Brent Stover is going to be calling the game. I said I'm going to be calling you, and I want to talk with one of the coaches. So we're happy to have you. We're really happy to have you.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
You got it. The game is at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Bloomsburg and Shippensburg in a Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference game. Rogers, you don't want to miss it. You don't.
And it's Ghouls of Gold night.
Yeah.
They're encouraged to wear their gold.
How about that? Brando Show continues right after that.
This is the Tim Brando Show on SiriusXM College Sports Nation.